Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop for one more week of SNS. I think I have a lot of subject matter to go over with you this week. It's probably going to be a nice long episode with a lot of different content for you. We're going to start off like we usually do. I'm going to tell you about a few things going on, some stuff that's happened over the week. And I got a couple of gifts right here that's come in. I'm going to quickly go through those and talk about a couple other things that's been going on as well. I got some ideas on some other content that we're going to throw into this episode, and we're going to even have some machine work. We're going to have all kind of good stuff. So hope you stick around and crack you a cold drink and sit back in the chair and enjoy. So I want to start off by talking about the events of last weekend with the machinery moving. Fred Newman from Buffalo, New York, or actually from Hamburg, New York is where he's from, made it down here. And before that, David, he had dropped off that air conditioner unit at John Saunders' house in Zanesville, Ohio. The very next day is when Fred come down through there and he picked it up. John helped him and they loaded up on the trailer and they got to meet and greet each other, and that was great. And then Fred headed down here to sunny Florida and was here the next day. And we went ahead and he met me down there at work down at Motion, because that's where I had him stored on the trailer. And just as I had pulled up, getting ready to unload, he pulled in the parking lot. So I mean, the timing was just perfect. So I do have some footage of that. I'll try to go through that and give you a couple shots of us moving on and getting him squared away, and then him out the door down the road. He made it to Keith Rucker's shop the very next morning. I believe it was like 7 o'clock in the morning that he was there, and he and Keith unloaded that drill press at Cincinnati and got it in his shop, and everything was done in, he said, 10 minutes it was over. And so Fred had sent me a text this morning and said he made it safely back home. So the drill press has made it to its final resting place up in Hamburg, New York, unless Fred decides to sell everything out later in life and get rid of his stuff. Who knows where that drill press is going to end up next, man. But I just want to give a huge thanks to David and John Saunders and Fred Newman. I really appreciate all of the help that all you guys have offered. David for giving me that air conditioning unit. It's a nice big wall mount that is going to mount. I'm going to plan on mounting it back there where that back window is, where the American flag is, and it runs off a thermostat, so I'll have to hook a thermostat. We'll probably hook it up over here where the door is. It's a 1.5 ton unit, and I believe that is going to work great for this shop. Hopefully it'll cool it down a little more than what I keep it now. I usually run it about 75 when I'm in here working, and I bump it up to 78 during the day, the window unit, and it works great. It keeps it nice and comfortable in here, and believe me, everybody that steps into this shop is amazed at how cool it feels in here. So I know that other unit is going to do even better, and then we'll move that window unit out there to the enclosure that's going on. So all that went as planned, so we'll throw a little footage of that in there coming up real soon. And I just want to go ahead and kind of go into the details of the enclosure, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I really don't feel like giving any updates this week on the enclosure. Last week, man, it just seems like I got more bad feedback than good about my plans and what I want to do with that enclosure, and some of the design aspects and how it's being put together. It's just sort of a downer, as I'm going through comments. I get excited all week, and I spend all that time making a video, and then I just get comment after comment of, you're doing it wrong, do this, do that. So I'm just going to hold off until some more progress is being done. The progress has been a lot slower than what I had anticipated. There's been setbacks, and I guess that's how it is with construction. That's just the nature of construction. Things happen, bad weather, and just stuff happens. So I'm just going to hold off a little while on the updates, but I will show you progress as we get more done. There's just really not enough now that I want to go into what's been done, but making slow progress on that. And for me, I'm really excited about it. I'm very anxious and nervous. It's a big thing for me to do, but I'm ready for this additional space over there in the shop. And I have I have a plan, guys. This isn't just something that I'm throwing together. I mean, I have a plan here, and I want more workspace for this shop, and that's what I'm doing, is trying to make more workspace. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that this is not my forever shop, and I'm not building my dream shop here. I'm just trying to enhance what I have and use the square footage of floor space that I have at my disposal right here to help make this shop a little bit better. But I don't plan on being here forever. I want to eventually be able to build that big shop that I want. A big metal building is what I want, and that's what I'm working towards. So that's still a little ways down the road, but we'll get there. So I'll bring more updates later whenever we get some more good progress done on the enclosure out there. This is a new set of Starrett mics that we got in for the clean room at work. Just wanted to share them. We always love seeing new tools, especially when they're something high quality like a Starrett tool. The boxes are always really nice. Got the hinge lid. Comes with all the standards. And you have your 0 to 6 inch. Those are always the glossy finish there. And then from your 6 to 12 inch, it has the, I believe that's like a forged steel body with the black wrinkle finish on it. I'm checking out your new set of mics over here, man.
Get your eyeballs loose off my brand new mic.
Getting a shot of them before they get dirty.
Brand spanking.
Mm-hmm. All right. Putting your books back in it and your wrench. There we go. So over the past few weeks, I've had a few viewer gifts come in. I'd like to show you those real quick and give mention to those. I was also going to mention that my tap organization is kind of underway. I worked on that a little bit this weekend. The machine screw size taps, I've been going through and getting the ones from the plastic bin that I showed you. I've been getting all those in here. And then I also have, these are all the leftover taps from that bin, because I cleaned them all with the evapor rust and they all look brand new. But all of these taps right here, I cannot read what size they are. Like all the markings that were put on there, completely gone. So I can't read them. I would have to go through each one of those and measure them and measure the thread pitch. And I just don't feel like doing that right now. But I put them all in a bag. So that's working out really good. I really like that. I can instantly open this drawer and see the individual taps that I don't have any of. Not yet anyway. I have a lot of more of these taps kind of like speckled throughout the shop in different drawers that I want to go through. And at the same time, I'm cleaning out and getting rid of the bad taps. You know, if I find one that's been cut off or ground and dull, I just throw it in the trash can. I just don't need any dull taps around here. But anyway, I really like that. Those new Hewitt cabinets. I wanted to point that out. So again, I got some stuff that's come in, a couple of gifts right here. We'll start off with Kent Hendrickson, and he has got a YouTube channel, Wood and Metal Workshop, and he has sent in a tool before, the Carver machine vise. I think that was last year or maybe the year before. That was a really nice tool that he had given me, and I use it on the boring mill at work. My name is on it, but I use it on the board mill at work, and I've showed it in some of the videos. But he had come across this large 1-inch square high-speed tooling bit that's brand new. It's never been used before. Vasco Supreme is the brand on it. So he told me that he wanted me to have it. So check him out, Wood and Metal Workshop. He's got some good stuff going on over there at his channel. All right, we got another big A-bomb size carbide insert tool right here. This was given to me by Mark Brozak, and he's from Madison, Ohio, and he had acquired this in a purchase of a lot of tooling and something way beyond what he needed, so he wanted me to have it. So he sent that in. Don't know the maker of it, but it takes the flat style. It's shaped like a CNMG insert, but it's the flat style on here, and it has the chip breaker carbide that's on top of it. More old school, but you could use this. It'd be great for say like cast iron and bronze and materials like that. So I really appreciate that, Mark, and I did get to meet him at the open house up in Ohio. He was there and attended. So very cool, Mark. Thank you. All right, and we have another lot of tools right here. I forgot to grab one of them. So another really nice group of stuff was sent in by Pat Accetta. He's from Niagara Falls, New York, and he has this box of inserts. This isn't a Starrett tool. This is some carbide inserts right here, and a bunch of carbide inserts in this box. Some stuff that he had that he wanted to send along. Some of it is the older style of carbide inserts, and I just got to kind of look through here and see. But some of the ones in here that really stood out, these little packages right here. I know you can't see that, but those are triangular shaped high-speed tools inside here, and there's a few different sizes. And these are awesome because I've got a few of those boring bars in Dad's toolbox that take those triangular shaped high-speed tools. I've never had them before until now. So very cool. We got some different sizes of those. There's several down in there. So very neat stuff right there, Pat. That's going to come in handy. And the thing that he had emailed me about was this book right here. He asked me, did I have a copy of Machine Tool Reconditioning? And this is a Connolly book right here, made by Machine Tool Publications. And I had emailed him back and said, no, I don't have one of those. This was one of the books that Richard King had at the scraping class when I was there in Georgia. And it's a book that he uses. There's a couple of really nice books. And I never really got to go through this book, but it's full of good information on how to rebuild your machine tools, whether it be a lathe or a mill or anything. How to re-scrape ways, proper procedures for scraping and measuring, that kind of stuff. But this is like a brand new book. It must have been put up or in a cover or something, because I mean there's not even any dust on the top of it. It's a brand new book, and I'm afraid to even get my fingerprints on it because my fingers are dirty. It was originally printed in 1955, but this particular book says 20th printing, 1996. So this book is 21 years old, and it's like it's brand new. So very cool, Pat. I really appreciate that. I'm going to put this in there by my chair, and when I do get a chance to sit down, which isn't very often, I like to go through these books that are given to me, and I like to look through them and read them. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Richard King thinks very highly of this book right here, made by Connolly, or written by Connolly, I should say. So very good gift, and maybe later on, if we find some really good information to share from this book right here, maybe we'll go back and revisit it and show some of it on video. So with the addition of the new mic set, I did grab a couple other new tools for the machine shop here that I've been waiting on, just to kind of put an order in together. So we got some new 6-inch hook rules, one of the standard hook rules, one of the standard rules without the hook. This is my favorite one, the double hook. It's an adjustable for either side. So I got 2 of those, and this here is a cam stud for the 6-inch hook rules right there, or any of the hook rules. These are the cam studs, and a common problem is that's the cam stud right there. Those things will sometimes fall out without you realizing it, and it leaves your hook scale without a hook. So here's the original end for it right here. Goes on there, and then so that's the actual cam stud. So you can buy any part that you need for a Starrett tool from Starrett. They will sell it to you, but they're a little pricey, 'cause these are like $3 a piece. So we went ahead and got a few to have in the box. All right, and then we got this is a 2-inch travel dial indicator. The one that we've been using finally bit the dust. It got knocked off and broke. It can be repaired, but we went ahead and got another one coming anyway. So there's a few new Starrett tools to share with you guys. I wanted to give a quick mention and a plug to the Welding Tips and Tricks podcast. That's a podcast that's put on by Jody Collier from Welding Tips and Tricks on YouTube, and also Roy Crumrine of Crumrine Welding and Jonathan Lewis of Superior Welding. Both of those guys you can find on Instagram, as well as Jody Weldmonger. But they have a podcast where they record once a week, and many weeks they have a guest that comes on that they talk to and ask them about their background and their work history and their, just all kinds of different things. So they had asked me one week in an email, and I was just so humbled by that they had sent an email and asked if I would like to star on one of their podcasts and have a conversation with them. So I agreed, and a couple weeks ago I joined that and had a really great conversation with them, and we talked about all kind of things. They wanted me to talk about my experience and how I got started in machining and how I got my experience in welding, and just all kind of things, not just welding, but just more about they were trying to get to know me a little bit better. So I had a great time, and it's a great conversation. I recommend that if you like watching this channel, go over there and check out that podcast. I'll have a link of that in the description down below, so you can click on it. If you don't have a podcast on your phone, you can listen to it right on their blog site as well. So go check it out, and make sure you give them guys a thumbs up and a follow, and go enjoy. Hopefully you do. This is one of our cabinets here at work that we have in the clean room. I really like these. These are high quality here. This is a Stronghold. They're real heavy duty made. I like this particular one because it's got the drawers. I was thinking about maybe using something like this for a welding cabinet. They got them in different configurations, and this is just the one that I was thinking that I would like. You can put those drawers wherever you want, and you can position the shelves wherever you want along there, and they're made to hold a lot of weight. These aren't no light duty shelves. This is heavy gauge steel. So I was just thinking about getting one of those possibly for a welding cabinet and do away with that old green one that we have. This is Fred. This is Fred Newman. He's from Hamburg, New York.
Yep.
Right up there by Buffalo, and he's the one that's come and getting the drill presses from me. He just pulled up. I've got the trailer sitting here with the drills. We're getting ready to load up, but I just wanted to introduce him to everybody.
How you doing, guys?
How was your trip down?
It was uneventful.
Okay.
Some slowdowns in Ohio. After I left John's shop, I got stuck in a 2-hour traffic jam. But
those always suck, man.
Yeah.
And he had texted me this morning saying he might be a little late because of a traffic jam, but I think he made it.
Yep.
He still made it on time.
Yeah, I made the time up.
So we're getting ready to get these things unloaded. I'll show you his nice towing rig here. So is that a 3500 or 25?
It's a 2500. I debadged it so the
Yeah,
cops wouldn't know it.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So he's got a nice big trailer. I think he's going to be well equipped. He's got some nice stacks on it. I heard it whenever he come up. And there is the new air conditioner for the shop. All right. So you got a nice trailer here. He says he's got a tractor. That's why he bought this trailer. And so he's got a tractor to haul around. All right, well, what do you say we get going?
Yeah.
Start loading up.
Yep.
All right, we got him on the Fred's trailer and he's getting ready to chain him down. There's the new AC. We're gonna pick that up in a minute, and then we'll set it over on my trailer. I'm gonna take that back to the back and leave it there for now. Thing looks pretty stout. All right, we got Jeff all loaded up and he is getting ready to head out. We're going to head over to Keith Rucker's place. He'll be over there tomorrow and going to unload the Cincinnati Bickford. So I really appreciate the help, man.
Yeah, thanks.
It's been great. You know, he brought the air conditioner down here. So I really appreciate the help, and I'm glad to see it go to a good home. So good luck with your travels on the way back up.
Yep.
And there it is. There's his rig. And let's walk down here and get another shot of it. He's got his trucker chains pulled both ways on him, nice and tight. And he's got 2 straps on each one, kind of support the top load there. So these things are leaving Florida for probably their final time in their life.
Georgia and New York.
Yep, Georgia, New York. That's pretty cool that the Canetti Auto there is going up to New York. They're, you know, way up there too, near Buffalo. So I'm glad to see him go to a good home. All right, there he goes. I'd like to take a few minutes out of this episode and let's talk about some pressing calculations. A few months back, I shared where we got a new Dake press there at work. It's a 75-ton hydraulic press, and this is a particular press that I've been eyeballing for quite a while and knew that it would be a good press for broaching, you know, for push broaches and general job shop type work where we got to press shafts out of bearings, press bushings into housings, any kind of general pressing needs. And so this is a 75-ton press. We got it new from Dake, and the stroke on it, the speed for the stroke, that's what really caught my eye on this particular model, because I wanted something that had a fast ram speed and a fast retract speed. So they advertised this particular model of having a 30-inch a minute extend and then an 80-inch a minute retract. Okay, that's good. You're not sitting there wasting time, you know, having to watch the thing go down real slow and then watch it go back up real slow. That 150-ton press that you've seen me use in past videos, that thing's made for pressing bearing or pressing shafts out of bearings and housings and things like that. That's a slow mover. It's got a small pump on it, so wasn't really ideal for doing broaching. So we were able to, you know, I talked him into us getting a good press, and it's going to help us out with the work that we do there. So after we got it, me and Paul started talking about it, the specs on the press, and the motor it's on. It's a 10 horsepower motor. All right, it's a 10 horsepower, and it's got a 4 gallon a minute pump. And what we did, Paul is excellent with hydraulics, by the way. I mean, I don't pretend to know all these formulas in the top of my head. I don't use them enough to remember just out of the top of my head how to calculate something. I have to go back, I have to go to a book, and read the book, the calculations on how to figure out different things that you want to know. Paul's excellent about that stuff. I mean, you just, as long as you have the info that he needs, you can give it to him, and he'll sit right there and he'll tell you exactly what it is. But he's done that for 30 years, that's his business. So anyway, we got the new press in, and we started figuring, is this thing really 75 tons? So I planned on making a video out of this. I wanted to take the gimbal in and actually take a little overview video of the press and talk about some stuff on it, but that was right around that time where they asked me to stop taking videos, so I just didn't even worry about it. But I wanted to go ahead and bring this up in an SNS. I think it's some pretty good information, and I would like for you guys, there is a lot of engineers that watch this show, watch my channel anyway, and there's a lot of guys that are a lot better at math than I am. So if you know anything about hydraulics and constants with hydraulic formulas, follow along here and see what you think. And if you come up with something different, maybe you can tell me. This is what I come up with. So I'm probably going to have some pictures to share with you on video to kind of help guide along what we're looking at, what I'm talking about. So I'm going to start off showing the back of the press there. This is when we got it, showing the 10 horsepower electric motor. And it is a 10 horse, that's what's tagged on it, and it is a 4 gallon per minute hydraulic pump. All right. The cylinder, the ram, it's a 6-inch bore. The rod is 4 3/4, and it has a 10-inch stroke. Let me go back to this real quick. This fluid power data book. This is an excellent book, and there's a nice section right here that I got marked called Fluid Power Formulas. And there's even a lot of rules of thumb in here. Let me mention one of those, which is what I was taught. So a general rule of thumb for figuring hydraulic pressure is for horsepower and PSI. So for every 1 horsepower, that will move 1500 PSI. All right, that's a rounded number, 1500. That's what people use to figure hydraulic systems. Now there is a constant. The exact number is 1714 PSI per 1 horsepower. All right, that's how much pressure 1 horsepower will move. So let's get into our press calculation. So we have a 75 ton press, or you can consider that 150,000 pounds of force, right? So you got to figure the area of the bore. So you have a 6-inch bore. You can figure that by pi r squared, and that's going to give you 28.27 square inches. That's your area for your bore. You got to know that if you're going to get the right calculations. The rod area is going to be a smaller area because it's well, on the other side of the piston where the rod is, that's what your effective area you have is 17.72 square inches. We're not going to worry about that right now. That has to do with your retract speed. All right. So your pump on this press is 4 gallons per minute. We know that. That's a given. That's what's on the machine. It's a 10 horsepower. All right. So to figure your pressure, you got to know force divided by the square area, or I'm sorry, the force divided by area, or in this case 150,000 pounds divided by 28.27, and once you figure that, that's going to give you 5,305 psi, right? So the horsepower requirement that's giving you, if you have 5,305 psi, you multiply that by 4 4 gallons a minute, divide it by your constant, 1714 psi, and that gives you 12.38 horsepower. All right, the press is only equipped with a 10 horsepower motor. So if that's equipped with a 10 horsepower motor, how is that gonna give us 150,000 pounds of force? So we'll go to the next picture there. So based on the horsepower available, how much should we be able to press? So you take 10 horsepower times 1714 psi divided by 4 gallons per minute. That gives you 4,205 psi. All right, so if you take your area of your piston, 28.27, multiply that by 4,205, that gives you 118,875 pounds of force, or say 59.4 tons. So is that really a 75-ton press? Tell me, what's going on here? Is that really a 75-ton press? So it is a given that it has a 10 horsepower motor and it has 4 gallons per minute. Okay, so that is gonna give you those calculations right here. How is that gonna build to 75 tons? That's what I'm not understanding. How is that a 75 ton? Are they betting that you're just gonna have like a spike at 75 tons and that thing is gonna release? Because you would be overloading your motor, your electric motor, to try to get it to 75 tons, and you're gonna trip the motor, you're gonna trip a breaker, or you're gonna burn that motor up, because you're taking it beyond what it was built to do. So anyway, I just wanted to go over that, because that was something interesting that Paul and I was going back and forth about. I had to do a little research and make sure that really was a 6-inch bore ram in there, and make sure that was a 10 horsepower motor and a 4-gallon pump. And it is. I mean, we talked to somebody in engineering there at Dake, and they told us that's what it is. And they said they've been putting that 10 horsepower motor on that press for many years. So I'd like a little bit of feedback from maybe somebody that has a little bit more insight in this kind of stuff than I do, and tell me what you think. How are you supposed to get 75 tons out of that package right there? Because I would say that you would need to have a 13 horsepower motor. I'm sure they don't make that, so probably a 15 horsepower motor in order to be able to build up to 75 tons of pressure. So you be the judge. Drop a comment, let me know what you think, and hopefully you enjoyed this little bit of hydraulic calculation. So at work this week, I've been on 2 more of those Kop-Flex shaft couplings. In the past, I've had to bore and machine a couple of them. I made a couple videos on it. So these are very similar to what I've shown before. They're just a little bit smaller size. So I thought I'd get some video of some of the machining I'm doing. There I'm showing how I use my Noga cool and just stick it in the back of that boring bar that's made for through coolant, and it helps keep the insert cool and the part cool there as well. Using the pacemaker and getting them bored out. They actually bore to 5 1/4 slip fit, 5 1/4, and these get double keys. There's 2 keyways, 180 out. So that's the broach plug that's already been made. So we sat it down on some precision blocks and found the center, and I'm milling an inch and a quarter keyway down the other side of it, exactly 180 out, so that whenever I broach the first key, I can spin that 180 and drop an inch and a quarter key in there, and that'll align it so that we can cut the other key where it needs to be. I couldn't really show what it's sitting on, but it's some blocks that it's sitting on nice and square, and then get it centered up using the digital readout. So here we are in the Dake press, and this is the first time that I broached an inch and a quarter keyway using the new Dake, and I gotta say it did fine. This is exactly what I wanted this press for, was to make these operations go a lot easier and smoother and faster above all. So I'm just trying to give you a shot of like the ram speed. That's got a 30 inch per minute ram speed whenever you pull the handle all the way down, and that's about the same speed that old electric press moved at as well. So on retract, see how it moves pretty quick. You got an 80 inch a minute retract. That helps to speed up the operation of getting those jobs done. So one of the little downfalls of using that press is just having to pull that handle and push it back up. It's got a pretty strong spring in it, so it starts to get a little tiring after a while. So bring it back up, and I use the spacer. Here I'm showing the tonnage of what it's taking to press that 1 1/4. So it looks to me like it's around maybe 8 tons of pressure to push that 1 1/4 key. I'm interested to see what the 1 1/2 and the 2-inch broach is going to take. All right, so here we go. After I drop the plug in there, I've got the new slot aligned on the back side, and I've got an 1 1/4 key that I made just to stick in there and line it up. And just shove it in there, and it's perfectly aligned. That's one easy way to get that done. So there's the first one completed, broaching both sides. Those are shallow keys, by the way, at 3/8 depth. Just copying the original. We had all the original parts there, so we were going off that, and documentation on the work order. So there's the old ones right there. One of those have a counter bore on the back side, so I had to duplicate that, and I'm just trying to get a shot of the wear on the gear teeth there. Those are some really nice style couplings that allow for a little bit of misalignment. There's the other one that's got the counter bore on the back side, and I gave them some larger set screws, 3/4 inch instead of those 1/2 inch, and everything worked out good. We hit our bores on size, and we got our keyways broached, and we did them in fine fashion on the new Dake. So this is the sleeve that goes over those shaft couplings, and that's what will couple to the gear right there. Okay, those slide over. And what I'm doing, I've got 4 slots to mill in these flanges. So I squared them up. I cut a couple little dowel pins, 7/8 diameter, squared it up using a square butt and a scale, and then I put my parallel there against it and got it bumped around, indicated. And I know I didn't show it on video, but I squared that thing up with that combination square, and it was within 2/1000ths. So I didn't have to move it very much. I needed to get the bolt holes aligned so that I could get the slots milled in the correct position. 2 of the slots is going to be at 3 and 9 o'clock, which is what we're showing here, which would be in line with 2 of the holes, and then the other 2 slots, which would be at 6 and 12, are going to be in between the holes. I'm using a 3/4 inch roughing in mill, and because that mill doesn't like a lot of heavy cutting, I had to go halfway down. It wouldn't cut the full 1 inch depth there. It tried to chatter a little bit, so I just took half of it and then come back and then took the other half. And I was using that in mill because it was new and it was nice and sharp, and it was cutting real good. So that's the slot at the 12 o'clock position. Just having the hand cranked that one myself, which I'm going to show you right here. Just take it nice and easy. Really not a lot to have to cut there, but it worked pretty good. So the slot size is 15/16, and what I used is a 15/16 end mill to cut where the center of the slot's going to be, like where the hole location is, so that we have the proper radius there, because the 3/4 inch roughing mill isn't going to give you the right radius. So I just plunged it. After I milled the slot, I plunged it with a 15/16 end mill, and then I put the roughing end mill back in there and roughed in the sides to size. And I believe that's it right there. That's completed job, and you can see the positioning of the slots there at all 4 quadrants, and how I clamped it down and got it indicated. There's the old one right next to it. Those extra holes and stuff that are in that old one doesn't belong in the new one. Those are the 2 cutters that we used. There's the 15/16 4-fluter and the 3/4 inch roughing end mill. A little bit longer than I wanted to use, but again, it was brand new, so it gave me some good cutting action. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed.